Have you ever noticed how the nicest people in the room are often the most powerless? They smile when they're seething inside, say yes when every fiber of their being screams no, and apologize for existing, for taking up space, for having needs. You watch them, these perpetual pleasers, and something in your gut tells you they're performing a lie. The overly nice person enters every interaction like a beggar asking permission to breathe. Their words drip with false sweetness, masking the bitter taste of their own suppressed rage. They've learned to make themselves small, thinking smallness equals virtue. But look closer at their eyes. Behind the manufactured warmth, you'll see the exhaustion of someone who has forgotten who they are. They nod enthusiastically at ideas they despise, volunteer for tasks that drain their soul, laugh at jokes that aren't funny, agree with opinions that revolt them, and smile until their face aches from the effort. This is not kindness. This is spiritual suicide disguised as social grace. What you're witnessing is the psychological mechanism Jung called the shadow, the disowned parts of the self that we bury to maintain our false personas. The excessively nice person has banished their natural aggression, their healthy selfishness, their righteous anger to the unconscious depths. They've convinced themselves that to be good, they must never be difficult. This pattern begins in childhood, when love becomes conditional upon compliance. The child learns that their authentic self, with its messy emotions and inconvenient needs, is unacceptable. So they craft a mask of perpetual agreeableness, believing this performance will guarantee them safety and love. But the shadow doesn't disappear. It festers in the darkness, growing more powerful with each denied impulse. The people-pleaser operates from what Nietzsche identified as slave morality, a system that glorifies weakness and condemns strength. They've internalized the poisonous belief that assertiveness equals cruelty, that boundaries equal selfishness, that saying no equals evil. This is not evolution. This is psychological castration. Society has sold you the greatest lie ever conceived, that niceness is a virtue and power is a sin. You've been programmed to believe that the meek shall inherit the earth while the strong are somehow morally corrupt. This is precisely backwards. What you call niceness is often cowardice wrapped in moral superiority. The uncomfortable truth Jung understood is that the shadow contains not just your darkness, but your gold, your creativity, your passion, your authentic power. When you repress your capacity for healthy aggression, you also repress your capacity for genuine strength. You become what Jung called one-sided, a half-person living a half-life. Your excessive niceness isn't protecting others from your darkness, it's protecting you from your own light. You've made a devil's bargain, safety in exchange for your soul. Nietzsche called this the will to power, not the desire to dominate others, but the drive to become fully yourself. When you sacrifice this will on the altar of social approval, you commit the ultimate betrayal. Every time you smile when you want to scream, you're hemorrhaging life force. Every yes that should be a no drains your authentic power and feeds it to those who have no such qualms about taking what they want. You've become an energy vampire's dream, a renewable source of submission. Think of your personal power as a finite resource, like water in a desert. Each act of false niceness is you pouring that precious water onto sand, watching it disappear without nourishing anything. Meanwhile, those who honor their boundaries and speak their truth conserve their energy for what truly matters. What does this pattern cost you? Your time becomes everyone else's property. Your energy becomes everyone else's fuel. Your dreams become secondary to everyone else's convenience. You wake up exhausted from a life you don't recognize, wondering why you feel empty despite giving so much. But here's the question that will haunt you. Were you really giving, or were you just afraid to live? Here's what will shock you. The people who demand your endless niceness don't respect you for it. They sense your desperation for approval and it repulses them on a primal level. The manipulative ones, the covert narcissists Jung and modern psychology identify, see your people-pleasing as an invitation to exploit. Watch how others respond to your constant accommodation. The healthy ones feel uncomfortable because your self-betrayal makes them witness to something unnatural. The unhealthy ones circle like sharks, sensing blood in the water. Your niceness doesn't inspire love, it inspires either pity or predation. When someone gets angry at you for finally setting a boundary, they're revealing something crucial about themselves. They were never interested in your well-being. They were addicted to your compliance. Their outrage at your newfound backbone exposes the transaction you never consciously agreed to, your freedom in exchange for their tolerance. The mirror shows you this. Authentic power makes people react, but false niceness makes them dismiss you. Would you rather be respected or ignored? Would you rather be feared for your strength or pitied for your weakness? The people worth knowing want to engage with your real self, not your people-pleasing performance. Jung's path of individuation, becoming who you truly are, requires you to reclaim your shadow. This doesn't mean becoming cruel, it means becoming complete. You must integrate the parts of yourself you've disowned, your capacity for anger, your right to say no, your permission to disappoint others. Nietzsche's Übermensch isn't a tyrant. It's someone who has moved beyond the slave morality that keeps you small. It's the person who creates their own values instead of inheriting society's limiting beliefs. This is your birthright, not to dominate others, but to refuse to be dominated. Authentic power doesn't come from controlling others, it comes from mastering yourself. It's the power to be disliked for who you are rather than loved for who you're not. It's the courage to stand alone when standing together requires you to betray your truth. The path forward requires you to stop performing goodness and start living it. Real kindness comes from a place of fullness, not emptiness. When you honor your own needs, you model for others what healthy boundaries look like. When you speak your truth, you give others permission to do the same. So here's the question that will determine the trajectory of your life. Will you continue to live as a shadow of yourself, performing niceness while your authentic power withers and dies? Or will you have the courage to disappoint the people who only love your mask, to anger those who profit from your compliance, to stand in the full blazing truth of who you are, even if it means standing alone? Your people-pleasing isn't protecting the world from your darkness, it's depriving the world of your light. Every moment you spend performing false niceness is a moment stolen from your authentic contribution to existence. The world doesn't need another people-pleaser. It needs the fierce, uncompromising, authentic person you were born to be. The choice is yours, but choose quickly. Time is running out, and your real life is waiting. Will you die having lived someone else's version of goodness, or will you risk everything to discover what your own soul considers worthy? The answer to this question will echo through eternity. Make sure it's a sound you can bear to hear.